The Legend of Zelda series is one of video gaming's most revered franchises. Since its landmark debut in 1986, Zelda has celebrated several key releases from the Wand of Gamelon to Tingle's Rupee Land. Downright classics. In 1991, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past dropped onto the Super Nintendo. I first played this game when my mom bought me and my brother Game Boy Advance SPs. We each got to pick one game to play on our upcoming road trip. I got the silver GBA SP with A Link to the Past and Four Swords combined, which was like the greatest game ever at the time. Oh yeah, also my brother got Shrek 2 and I've been jealous of him ever since. It was a badass game. Obviously, I could not wait for our road trip to play Zelda. I ripped that sucker open as soon as I got in the car and threw those useless boxes away. No one would ever find any monetary or aesthetic value in those things. When I jammed the game cartridge into my Game Boy and turned it on, I had one of the greatest experiences of my life. I discovered true disappointment when I realized I needed a Game Boy Link cable, another Game Boy, and another copy of Zelda to play Four Swords. But that menu music was so good. I probably spent more time on that title screen listening to the music than I would have playing the actual game. Has anyone else done that? After that disappointment, I discovered the cartridge's side game, A Link to the Past or whatever it was called. Boy, what an amazing game. I felt like I really was Link. Exploring the world was so fun. Beating those dungeons, those boss fights, defeating Aghanim, all great stuff. Just when you think the game's going to end, nope. Ganon claps her ass into the Dark World where you become a pink little bunny and have to start beating dungeons all over again. Playing this for the first time was both confusing and mind-blowing for my child brain. My mom got me a strategy guide which I used to complete the shit out of the game with. This was the first Zelda that I got 100% in. Yet, even as a young lad, I still knew A Link to the Past was not as fun as another Zelda game. One that to this day, I still feel is better. Zelda 2 Adventure Ocarina of Time. It's Ocarina of Time, guys. Ocarina of Time is better than A Link to the Past. And no, it is not because it was the first game in the series I played, like people often say. That was Majora's Mask. I played that first. Though I am hugely nostalgic for all these games, I feel that because I played them at all around the same point in my life, nostalgia for one game would not cloud my judgment for the other. And Ocarina of Time is just an overall better experience than Link to the Past for me, and is a great sequel, as opposed to what another popular YouTuber might have you believe. Let's start by talking about what most people consider the most polarizing aspect of Ocarina. Its gameplay. I've heard discussion on how dated the game is, yet Ocarina of Time seems to be continually enjoyed by people even today. Obviously, being a 20-year-old definition of the 3D adventure game genre will make the game seem a little archaic by today's standards when compared to something like Dark Souls that literally built directly off of Ocarina of Time's gameplay. However, I think the game holds up remarkably well considering people still call it one of the best titles on the 3DS, a relatively modern platform, I guess. Every 3D Zelda made after, including Breath of the Wild, owes everything to this game. It is still considered to be the best of the series by so many people. What this game lacks in modern gameplay standards, like smoother controls, menus, and depth of combat, it more than makes up for with the unparalleled dungeons, music, and story. Yes, the game is dated control-wise, but it set the bar so high in all the other arguably more important aspects that few games can compare even today. You might be saying, A Link to the Past already did all of that, but still controls well because of its 2D gameplay. And I can't argue that point. That game is pretty much flawless and is similarly unmatched by any other game in its genre of 2D games. But what makes Ocarina of Time a great sequel and even better game is how it improved everything that its predecessor did. Face it, 2D games cannot compare to the cinematic immersion that 3D games bring, and Ocarina of Time is the perfect representation of that. The music and storyline create the perfect atmosphere that I feel cannot be matched by many other games. Nostalgia aside, I think the reason that so many people refuse to leave this game in the past is because of its themes of growing up, which is relatable to everybody. And if you say no, you're lying. Or you're a child. At the start of the game, Link is an orphan, an outcast amongst the Kokiri tribe. Even when he tries to leave the forest, he is still treated like he does not matter by most people, including Ganondorf, who spares his life because he does not see him as a threat. By the end of the game, he has fulfilled his destiny as the hero of time and saved the world. But more importantly, he found that his life did matter. The player experiences Link's growth firsthand as the game progresses. I was the one being told I couldn't reach my goals. I was the one who proved myself by helping the people of Hyrule. I was the one who completed those dungeons and realized my destiny by defeating Ganon. Story-wise, the game follows a constant upward momentum, featuring key, impactful moments of discovery for the player. Imagine going back to that first time you pulled the Master Sword from its pedestal. By doing so, you inadvertently allowed Ganondorf to seize the Triforce, or at least one part of it, and gain control of Hyrule. The moment you walk out of the Temple of Time, you know something is horribly wrong. Castle Town is overrun by Redeads, the Kokiri Forest by monsters, the Gorons are starving and being rounded up by Volvagia, Zora's domain has been frozen over. The only town left is Kakariko Village, but even that place still feels off, like it's the last area of happiness in the world. Everything you know has changed. It's kind of like moving away from your hometown as a child and returning as an adult. Nothing will ever be the same again. That blissful happiness of childhood will remain forever in memories. Yet, despite all of this, you still move forward and fulfill your destiny, finding your true meaning in life, or at least trying to find it. This is what has resonated with me the most from Ocarina of Time, and I'm sure many others. And I know what makes this game special is not solely due to nostalgia, because I never picked up on this as a kid. I didn't know anything about growing up. I just loved the adventure, the dungeons, the exploration, in short, the actual gameplay. It's only after moving away from my hometown and becoming a social outcast in middle school and high school, being unsure about fulfilling my dreams and facing adulthood in college, that I have found a new appreciation for my favorite game of all time. Both A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time are classic games, high points in a series of landmark titles. For everything the former does better than the latter, A Link to the Past still cannot compare to the feeling and just overall fun that I still have while playing Ocarina of Time. Obviously, I know that not everyone feels this way about the game or can relate to it in the same way that I do. At the end of the day, art is subjective. I respect and can even agree with someone who says A Link to the Past is the best Zelda game ever made. But if that's the case, Ocarina of Time is the best sequel ever made. Hey, welcome to my channel. I like to talk about cool stuff. Stay tuned for more cool stuff. Thank you. Good night.